Medes, a civilization that existed in Iran before Cyrus the Great. The Mede people were one of the first civilizations to have existed in the Middle East around 900 BC, and they were neighbors with the Assyrians. But unlike the Assyrians, the Mede people are quite mysterious. Most of what we know about them comes from outside sources like the Assyrians and the Babylonians. We don't have many primary sources to work with. The Mede people had been living in the area between Lake Urmia and the Caspian Sea for a long time, possibly since 2000 BC. However, their big rise to power started around 900 BC when they established the Kingdom of Media. And the reason why this kingdom was established was because of the crumbling of the Assyrian Empire. You see, around 911 BC, the empire of Ashurnasirpal collapsed after his death, and there was a power vacuum in the region. And the Medes took advantage of this by declaring independence and establishing their own kingdom. Their capital was the city of Ecbatana, and it is now known as the oldest continuously inhabited city in Iran. So not only did the Medes establish an independent state, but they also created the first alliance of equals between two former subjects of the Assyrian Empire, the Medians and the Babylonians. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell and leave a comment for us. Your support and energy will help us to be energetic and prepare the best videos for you, friends. Because the best is your right, friends. This alliance would later be joined by the Persians, and together they would destroy the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Although the Medians were able to establish a powerful state, they never really expanded far beyond their original borders. Their kingdom wasn't very big. It didn't even include modern-day Iran. Their domain was pretty much limited to northwest Iran and parts of eastern Turkey. The main reason for this was that they didn't have a navy, and so they couldn't conquer any coastal cities or expand into Mesopotamia. Because of this, their wealth wasn't impressive compared to other empires of the time. Like the Assyrians and the Babylonians, the Mede kings wore distinctive hats that had animal skins on them, usually lion or panther skin, and rode in war chariots pulled by horses. They often used bows and arrows in combat, similar to the Scythians. The Medes were also horse-riding nomads who lived in tents. They herded flocks of sheep, cattle, and horses and engaged in hunting wild animals like lions. Some historians believe that the legendary battle between King Cambyses II of the Achaemenid Empire and the mythical monster creature of the Greeks, the Scythian, took place against the backdrop of the struggle between the nomadic horse-riding Medes and the Greek city-states. It is believed that the Median army was the first to use catapults and other siege engines, which were originally made by the Assyrians, against the city of Nineveh, which was the capital of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. It took them 3 years to completely destroy the city. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell and leave a comment for us. Your support and energy will help us to be energetic and prepare the best videos for you, friends. Because the best is your right, friends. Which shows that the Median siege engines weren't that advanced yet. The religion of the Medes is also quite interesting. Unlike the Mesopotamian civilizations we discussed before, such as the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, who all followed a polytheistic religion, the Medes followed a monotheistic religion. Although we don't know much about it, as I said before, the Medes were mysterious. We do know that they worshipped a god named Anahita, who was probably the supreme deity in their pantheon. Some historians think that she was the equivalent of the Greek goddess Artemis, the goddess of the moon, wilderness, and the hunt. She is sometimes portrayed as a virginal goddess who travels around the world with her entourage of maidens, and sometimes as a mother goddess. The Medes called her the Queen of Heaven and Earth and identified her with the planet Venus. There are also some theories claiming that the monotheism of the Medes may have inspired Zoroaster, the founder of Zoroastrianism. But there isn't much evidence to support this claim. Around 600 BC, the Mede people were conquered by the Babylonians under King Nebuchadnezzar II. It happened during the reign of the last Mede king, Astyages. You see, Astyages tried to expand his territory into western Iran and Anatolia. He wasn't successful in doing so. Instead, he got into a conflict with the growing power of the East, the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Under Nabopolassar, the Babylonians defeated the Medians at the Battle of the River Choz. After this defeat, Nabopolassar died and his son Nebuchadnezzar II took the throne. Nebuchadnezzar went on to conquer more Median cities until finally in 590 BC, he captured the Median capital, Ecbatana, and deposed King Asterius. With the fall of Asterius, the kingdom of Media came to an end and the Medes became a part of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. After the Medes were conquered, we don't hear much about them anymore. They disappeared from the historical records. However, Herodotus tells us that the Medes were still around during the time of the Greco-Persian Wars, which took place in the 5th century BC, but they were ruled over by the Persians. So although the kingdom of Media ended in 590 BC, the Mede people were still around as a distinct group of people, but they were ruled over by others. So now let's talk about the legacy of the Medes. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell and leave a comment for us. Your support and energy will help us to be energetic and prepare the best videos for you, friends. Because the best is your right, friends. The Medes played a significant role in the decline of the Neo-Assyrian Empire and the rise of the Achaemenid Empire. Without the alliance of the Medes, the Neo-Assyrian Empire would have likely lasted a bit longer. On the other hand, the Achaemenid Persians likely wouldn't have risen to power as quickly if it wasn't for the weakness created in the region by the weakening of the Assyrian Empire, which the Medes took advantage of. The Medes also left behind a legacy of military innovation. As I mentioned earlier, the Medes were the first to use catapults against the city of Nineveh. They also used bows and arrows in combat, which was a new tactic at the time. Before the Medes, the Mesopotamian powers relied mainly on their chariots and swords in battle, but the Medes showed that bows and arrows could be effective as well. Now here's something interesting. In ancient Greek literature, the Medes are often depicted as a mysterious and exotic people. The Greeks didn't know much about the Medes, and so they created myths and legends about them. For example, the Greeks believed that the Medes were a matriarchal society where women held all the power. They also believed that the Medes practiced human sacrifice and other strange customs. These myths and legends were likely based on the fact that the Medes were different from the Greeks in terms of their religion, culture, and way of life. The Greeks were polytheistic and followed the Greek pantheon of gods. They also had a patriarchal society where men held most of the power. The Medes, on the other hand, were monotheistic and followed their own religion. They also had a queen mother, which was a departure from the Greek tradition of a male ruler. All these differences led the Greeks to view the Medes as mysterious and exotic people. Despite the lack of concrete information about the Medes, it is clear that they were an important civilization that played a significant role in the history of the Middle East. Their kingdom may have been short-lived, but their legacy continues to live on in the hearts and minds of historians and archaeologists alike. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.